You know that feeling when you're just biting your tongue in a tense situation, like just to keep things calm?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like the safest move.
Right. It feels like you're doing the right thing. But today, we are taking a deep dive into a reflection piece titled Day 38, and it argues that your silence, well, it isn't keeping the peace at all. In fact, avoiding conflict is basically like hitting the snooze button on a blaring fire alarm. The noise stops for a second, but the house is still burning down. Okay, let's unpack this.
I mean, that fire alarm analogy captures the danger perfectly
Yeah.
because we often confuse the absence of shouting with actual harmony, and this reflection draws a really sharp line between a peacekeeper and a peacemaker.
Yeah, those sound similar, but they are so different in practice.
Exactly. Like a peacekeeper will do absolutely anything to avoid the smoke. They prioritize this temporary, fragile quiet over the actual health of the connection.
Because if you just want quiet, you inevitably sacrifice the truth. It's like sweeping dirt under the rug until it's a massive tripping hazard.
Mm.
But a peacemaker operates completely differently, right?
Right. They value the relationship way more than their own comfort. So they bring the truth, but they package it with genuine kindness. The source actually uses Jesus as a fascinating case study here.
Oh, yeah, pointing out that he never backed down from hard truths just to keep people happy.
Exactly. But he also never weaponized the truth to wound someone either. It is all about the balance of truth without brutality.
And when we fail to strike that balance, like when we just avoid the issue entirely, what happens?
Well, the human brain starts filling in the blanks. If we don't communicate, we naturally assume the worst about the other person's intentions. That is why we see this stark warning in the text that conflict itself isn't the real enemy. Unresolved conflict is.
Because a simple misunderstanding just sort of ferments in isolation, right? It mutates into resentment and eventually hardens into pure bitterness. But wait, hold on. What if this situation is just inherently toxic?
What do you mean?
Like, say, a superior is completely unhinged at work, or a relative is acting totally irrational. I am absolutely choosing comfort and staying quiet in that moment just to survive. Like the source mentions people often do. Sometimes keeping the peace is a literal defense mechanism, isn't it? Are we really supposed to confront everything?
Well, survival instincts are very real, and in the short term, freezing is a completely natural response. But avoiding the tension doesn't neutralize it, it just internalizes it.
Well, that makes sense. It just moves inside you.
Exactly. The core life principle here is that long-term peace is never maintained by dodging hard conversations. It is maintained by approaching them with truth, humility, and love. If you swallow that toxic interaction at work just to keep the peace, you just carry that resentment home.
It's an internal ticking time bomb. So what does this all mean for you? Like, how do you actually diffuse it without blowing up the relationship entirely, especially when you need to initiate that scary conversation today?
Well, it requires a massive dose of humility. You just can't go in hot. The actionable steps are to listen actively and consciously force yourself to assume the best about the other person.
Rather than jumping to those negative conclusions our brains like to invent.
Right. And most importantly, you have to swallow your pride so you can take that first step.
And here is where it gets really interesting. Because that first step, it doesn't require a grand, eloquent speech. It can literally just be asking, hey, can we talk? Or even leading with, I was wrong about this part.
Yeah, because the motivation behind those words is everything. The ultimate goal must be restoration, not victory. If you walk into that room trying to prove you are right and they are wrong, you aren't peacemaking.
You're going to war,
Exactly. You are trying to win.
which means someone else has to lose. That completely flips the script on what a successful conversation looks like. It brings to mind a powerful closing quote from today's deep dive. Peacemakers do not ignore problems. They courageously bring God's love and truth into them.
Courage is definitely the operative word there. Stepping into the smoke rather than running away from it takes serious bravery.
It really does. But that bravery isn't always rewarded, though. The source acknowledges a tough reality. Full reconciliation requires willingness from both
And
sides.
for sure, it takes two.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
Yeah.
If you summon the courage to take that first step, to stop hitting snooze on the alarm, and the other person completely refuses to engage, how do you cultivate your own internal peace when the relationship remains irreparably broken?